Hello, this is Apgujeong Rodeo. It is famous as a place where the richest people in Korea live. There are many affluent areas in Seoul, but this is the most famous one. Apgujeong is nicknamed Gangnam within Gangnam. In Gangnam, which is the representative affluent area in Korea, this is the area where the wealthy people with high wealth live. If you look to the right, you will see the Galleria department store across the street. It is a very famous department store in Korea and is nicknamed the department store of department stores. It is the first place that global luxury brands enter the Korean market, so it can be seen as a place that leads the trend in Korean luxury fashion. Rather, it is a place where luxury brands compete fiercely to enter the store. Department store employees regularly review and mercilessly eliminate brands that have fallen in value. Even though the building is low, less than 5 stories, luxury products sold there are sold for about 900 million United States dollars a year. This is the highest sales amount per square meter among department stores in Korea. Although the building is small, it can be seen as a place where the rich spend a lot of money. I walked along the street. I'm going to move to the right and enter the Apgujeong Rodeo Main Street. The Apgujeong Rodeo was named after Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills, an affluent area in the United States. Many Koreans cannot understand the fact that the word rodeo, which has no historical connection, was used as the official name of the area. In the past, Korea was an underdeveloped country and had a strong sense of admiration for developed countries. This was so severe that it became cultural chauvinism. At that time, Koreans themselves looked down on Korean culture and considered American and European cultures to be of great value. The street name Apgujeong Rodeo was named at that time. Nowadays, Korea's economy has developed, and Koreans are proud of Korean culture. I sometimes wonder if it's too much. I visited here at 6:30 p.m. on Sunday. I visited at a time when there were relatively few people. This place is usually crowded on Friday and Saturday evenings. This street was the most visited by young people in the 1990s. In the 1980s, when Gangnam, a southern area of Seoul, was developed into a new city, the rich settled here. Since it was an area where the rich lived, the streets were clean and there were many trendy cultures that could not be found in other streets, so many people visited here to enjoy the place. As the number of visitors increased, the owners of the commercial buildings raised the rent to an unreasonable high, and the street gradually became a featureless street. The only stores that could afford the expensive rent were famous franchise brands. This is how this street began to decline. However, this area has recently become famous as a hot place in Korea. Since Korea entered the ranks of advanced countries in the 2010s, the income level has increased, and the number of wealthy people has increased, which has led to a significant increase in the demand for fine dining restaurants. Fine dining restaurants are mostly concentrated here. Restaurants of famous chefs known in Korea are mostly located here. Perhaps this area began to become crowded with people again after the Michelin Guide was introduced to Korea in 2017. High-end restaurants that serve course meals are mainly used by the wealthy, but ordinary people also visit here on special days to enjoy themselves. As a result, the number of visitors gradually increased again. These days, it is not called Apgujeong Rodeo, but rather Dosan. It is called Dosan after the name of Dosan Park near this street. The reason why this area is called Apgujeong has historical significance. About 500 years ago, the highest minister of Korea, Han Myung-hoe, had more power than the king. He was the first-class contributor who overthrew King Danjong and enthroned the king's uncle as the new king. The Korean movie The Face Reader portrayed this history. He is portrayed as a very bad person. Han Myung-hoe became related by marriage to the new king and was able to exercise great power. He built a villa on the riverside here and held a welcoming event when the Chinese embassy visited Korea. The villa was called Apgujeong. Apgu was his nickname, and Jeong means house. I don't know if it was because the villa site of the highest minister of Korea was good, but even 500 years later, the rich in Korea prefer to live here. There are 3 reasons why the rich prefer this place. First, this is one of the few flat areas in Seoul. Seoul has a lot of hills. Most of the houses in Seoul are built on uphill terrain. Second, it is very easy to drive. Since it is a newly developed new city area, the roads are wide and designed to be easy to drive. Jongno, the most central area of Seoul, is where the palaces of Korea are located. Since the roads there were mostly used for pulling carriages, most of the roads are very narrow and complicated, making driving difficult. Third, it is the closest to Jongno and Gangnam. Jongno is the center of Seoul. It is where the palaces of Korea are located. Although Gangnam has better social infrastructure, history and culture are concentrated in Jongno. People who live here do not use public transportation. That is why the subway station we saw at the beginning was built relatively recently. The residents here drive themselves. If you can drive yourself, it takes 15 minutes to get to Jongno, Seoul from here. The residents here enjoy the good infrastructure in Gangnam, and when they want to enjoy culture, they drive to Jongno. Apgujeong is famous among other wealthy areas for celebrities. The reason why many celebrities live here is because there are many famous hair and makeup shops. Originally, these shops were for the rich, and there are many hair designers and makeup artists with excellent skills. Celebrities who need to expose themselves get their hair and makeup done here, even if it costs a lot of money. That's why they live here, so that they can quickly get their makeup and hair done as soon as they get to work. Apgujeong can be considered the center of hair and makeup and fashion in Korea. Even ordinary people who have weddings or important meetings visit here to get their hair and makeup done.
이렇게 아니 이렇게.
If you look to the left, you can see a lot of trees planted. That's Dosan Park. I didn't tour the park in this video. I walked a different path in this area last time. If you're curious, you can see it in my last video. Most of the restaurants and cafes around here are stylishly designed. I walked along the road. At the end of Dosan Park, there is a fork in the road like this. I came out of Apgujeong Rodeo Street. If you walk straight ahead from here, you will arrive at a luxury apartment complex. I marked my location on the map. As you can see from the map, there are a lot of shops in the alleys of this area, and I only walked along the main road. I walked along the road for about 2 minutes. You can see an apartment complex in front of you. That was where the Apgujeong Villa of Han Myongkoe, which I explained earlier, used to be. Now that villa is gone, but there is a 500-year-old marker inside that apartment complex. The apartment complex, built in 1976, looks ordinary from the outside, but it was designed from the beginning as an apartment for the upper class. As far as I know, it is the first luxury apartment complex in Korea. Each house has 7 rooms, and there is even a separate room for the housekeeper. It looks like a really ordinary apartment, but it is very expensive in Korea. It costs about $4.4 million. Many famous Korean celebrities and businessmen live there. The Han River flows behind that apartment complex. It is built on the riverside. If you look straight ahead, you can see the Galleria department store that you saw at the beginning of the video on the left across the street. You can assume that most of the people who use that department store are the people who live in the apartments on the left. I have toured Apgujeong Rodeo up to here. This is the end of my video. Thank you for watching.